Welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, your sanctuary with retreat experts, where we spill the tea on retreat success. Here we dive into crafting transformational guest experiences, talk about how to avoid pitfalls, and unlock marketing secrets. Whether you're a seasoned guru or a budding enthusiast, we've got the inside scoop for you. Join us as we learn how to flourish in this magical world of retreats. Hey guys, welcome to the Retreat Leaders Podcast, formerly the Happy Hour Podcast. This is Shannon, and I'm so excited to interview, just chat with a guest today. And I went through her bio and we've been emailing. And by the way, thank you for being so patient because we also had to do some rescheduling because, life. And so thank you for that. But welcome to the show, Rony. It's Rony.
Rony, yes.
Yay! Welcome to the show, Rony.
Thank you so much. I'm so honored and excited to be here and just to kind of chat with you and share my story and to inspire others of how to make the leap of being a yoga teacher and being able to lead retreats.
I love it so much because I honestly feel like one of the number one, let's be honest, the number one reason why people don't make the leap is they're afraid. They think they're going to fail. And if anybody's listened to my show at all, I don't believe in failure, because failure is just learning. And so I'm so glad that you're going to share your story. And I'm glad I got your name right because I've been rehearsing it in my head ever since I watched your YouTube. But then, your head plays tricks on you. And I was like, Shannon, you just say it right. So I'm so glad I said it right.
You got it. Thank you. It's
awesome.
Rony. You nailed it.
Awesome. Well, Rony, will you just start off by just telling us your history? Like what brought you to where you're sitting at today?
Sure. Yeah, I would love to share. So I graduated from college 2008 from UC Santa Barbara, and it was a little bit of a challenging time then because the market had crashed. And so I had a degree in communications and had a really hard time finding a job. And simultaneously at that time, my sister had opened up her own real estate company. And so she said, why don't you just come work for me temporarily until you find something more stable and more in your line of, what you got your degree in. And so I did that. I started working for her part-time, and then it just kind of fell into a full-time position and then became my career. And I really loved it. It was really monetarily stable and financially nourishing for me, but it wasn't really fulfilling my soul's purpose. And because real estate was so stressful, I started, dabbling with taking yoga classes. And I remember taking my first heated yoga class at the peak of my stress and coming out of the class and just feeling completely just transformed, like a different person. And I didn't know what that was, but now I know from an anatomical level that I was resetting my nervous system. I was able to move into parasympathetic nervous system because of the asana and the pranayama, the yogic movements and the breath work. But I just was craving that feeling and sensation of inner peace and tranquility. And so that just kept me stepping onto my mat until I decided I wanted to get certified in it while I was still, of course, doing my real estate. And so I was teaching yoga at a studio pretty consistently. And the more I was becoming successful in real estate, the more I was, needing that release through yoga. And so I, a few years later, decided to go to Costa Rica on a solo, yoga and surf adventure. And I felt completely transformed in that 1 week and told myself that I want to come back here the following year and I want to support other people and bring people to this retreat and teach them how to find balance, how to reset their nervous system, how to just find peace within. And so that was my goal. I went back and I started talking and communicating to that retreat center and asking what I could do to come out and teach and be able to do and support people the way that I felt supported at that retreat. So that's kind of where my whole journey started, was first by attending a retreat and then taking the steps to be able to lead one myself. So after that, that retreat was really special because I felt like I was handheld a lot. So they helped me with the bookings. They built out their website. They shared my bio, and, anyone who was drawn to my teaching style booked. And that first retreat got 30 people, and it was great. I was very nervous because it was my first retreat, but it was a little bit of like a fake it till you make it. I was teaching for a few years, but I was like, you know what? I'm going to go into this and just hold space and be of support to people who are coming. And it was successful and great. And I got wonderful feedback. And then I was just on this high of like wanting to continuously do it.
Hey there, retreat leaders. Are you ready to supercharge your marketing game and sell out your next transformational retreat? Of course you are. And I've got something special just for you. Introducing our free guide, The Top 3 Marketing Tools for Retreat Leaders. This just isn't any guide. It's your ticket to discovering the top 3 tools that will help you create a sold-out, unforgettable retreat experience. But wait, there's more. We've included a little bonus inside to give you that extra edge. Curious about what that is? You'll have to download it to find out. Ready to grab your free guide and take the first step towards retreat marketing mastery? Well, visit retreatmarketingtools.com and download your copy now. And remember, it's absolutely free, so why wait? Visit retreatmarketingtools.com to get your guide and start transforming your retreat marketing strategy today. I have so many questions and so many thoughts. I'm so excited that you're here. First of all, I love that you're reiterating that sometimes all it takes is just for you to attend something and for it to resonate so deeply within, knowing that now this is something that's going to become your life calling. Like, I just love that. And I think that happens more often than not, but then people don't follow through. So we're going to round back to that and how you actually followed through. Because I know for a fact that many people, whether they're listening or they're just out in the world, they've attended a retreat and thought, this is what I want to do, but then they're so afraid to do it. So we're going to talk about more about that. Okay, I have to say, we had somewhat of a similar background. I did corporate business. I did real estate. I have opened other businesses up. And real estate is very financially rewarding and super fucking stressful.
Yes, you get it, Shannon.
So I feel you as to why you needed yoga during that time. So kudos for you for listening. I do want you to point out maybe some cues, like what was happening in your life and your body and your mind and your heart that told you you were not doing your life's calling, even though you were being financially rewarded, because sometimes that's really confusing for people.
Yeah, it absolutely was confusing because to be in something that was so financially and monetarily fruitful, but to know that it wasn't fulfilling was really difficult and hard to kind of jump out of my comfort zone because of that, right? Like, I would have to ultimately start from scratch if I were to leave real estate. And that was really scary for me and anxiety provoking at times. But, I had great support around me. I hired a coach to kind of hold me accountable, which was really helpful because when I would take 2 steps forward in the direction of knowing that I wanted to do retreats and teach full time, when I had fear bubble up within me, she would hold me accountable because I'd want to step back, but she'd say, why am I here to support you? Right. And that was for her to help hold me accountable to my life's dream and purpose and calling and my dharma. And so that was really helpful to just have someone to hold my hand and just to reassure me. And I think had I not had someone to hold me accountable, I may have kind of stayed within my comfort zone and level. And I think anyone who can really help support you and hold your hand in something like that, of making the leap, is very helpful.
I love this. Accountability partnership is so critical when you are making these giant leaps.
Absolutely.
And this is a giant leap. And so when you're doing that, it is so easy to go, nope, I'm just going to go back. Yep, it's stressful. It's hard. But I know this, right? It's kind of like the hell you know versus the hell you don't know. And you don't even know if the other side is not hell. It could be, I'm using whatever terms, insert whatever words work for you, but it could be heaven, but you don't know that. And you're just going to stay in the hell that you know.
Yes.
And so I love that you had accountability, because one of the things I talk about a lot is you have to know your why. Like, why do you want to host retreats, right?
Yes.
And if it's just for finances, my personal opinion is it won't last long. But if it is, if that's your only reason, I just think that you might fall on your face and it will be very painful. That definitely can be a part of it. Please understand me. I am one for profitability. I want people's energetic compensation to be exactly what they want. But what I'm saying is you have to really know your why. Like, what is your why? What drives you? What will pick you up when you have challenges and obstacles? And then how can you stay committed to it? And I love that you had a coach, because some people feel like they don't need that accountability. They're going to go on their own. But then every time they run into an obstacle, they turn right back to what they know already, because it's easy to do that. So I'm so proud of you.
Yeah, thank you. It was really helpful. And for anyone listening, if you do have the fear around that, finding an accountability partner is really helpful. Really, really helpful.
Yes, I love that so much. Okay, so you got certified in yoga while you were still with real estate, and you probably were juggling both for a little bit, right?
I was, for quite a few years, actually.
Yeah.
I was doing group classes, but then I was also leading some private in-home sessions for some of my real estate clients. And so that was really fun too, because of the intimacy, the one-on-one setting, creating a bit of like a therapeutic yoga environment where there was a lot of like talk therapy and just like coaching. And I really loved the intimacy of that. And so I eventually got out of group classes because I recognized how much individualized attention people need with their bodies. Everybody's body is different. What serves you, Shannon, is so different than what serves your neighbor, your partner, your kid, whatever. So I loved just that one-on-one attention. And so I eventually moved into doing that. But that was also another few-year process that, cultivated and built with word of mouth and marketing and all of that stuff.
I'm also loving that you're sharing that it was a process, because the other, I think, misconception that can happen, or maybe it's an expectation actually, is that someone's going to make the leap and they're immediately going to be successful at it.
Yeah.
And by the way, successful is arbitrary, right? Because everybody's success looks different, but they definitely think that it's going to be exactly what they want right away.
Sure.
And I don't know anybody in any business that happens. I mean, I think a lot of times we see people who are successful and we're like, wow, how did that happen? And we think it happened really fast, but we didn't see the years before that where they were hustling and making things happen and juggling 2 jobs or whatever was going on. So, anyways, I'm just really glad to hear that there was a process. It was a process to go straight from real estate to now hosting successful international retreats.
Yeah, absolutely. And thanks for highlighting that, Shannon. Even as I was just kind of like jotting notes of what I wanted to discuss and share with you, I was kind of writing like a timeline of year by year what was going on in my life. And I was like, wow, I got certified in yoga like 14 years ago. And then I led my first retreat like, 8 years ago. And just to put it all into perspective was like, wow, this has really been a journey. And I'm so grateful to be in the position that I am right now and to have the financial freedom and to not be doing real estate and for yoga and retreats to be my full-time career. But this is just like a dream of mine, but it took many, many years to be able to cultivate this life, and it didn't come overnight. And so I just want to share that because all of this stuff takes time, right? You don't just wake up as like really successful anything in your career. It really takes energy and effort and all of that stuff. So yeah, thank you for highlighting and sharing that because it is so true. It's a process.
Yeah, and it's an investment. One of the things that I tell people is you're investing, especially your first, I'm going to say anywhere from for sure 2 years, but up to 5 years-ish.
Yeah.
That's a pure investment time. Doesn't mean you won't make any money in that time. It just means that a lot of your efforts and what you're doing, you're investing for the bigger picture coming, around the corner. And so whatever that looks like, and especially when you're being an entrepreneur, it's an investment when you're starting. So yay. Hey, it's Shannon here. I'm just popping in really quickly to ask a big favor. Would you pause the show and go review it for us? Please. Reviews really help us to be able to get more guests and more experts on the show to help you transform your retreats. So if you wouldn't mind pausing and leaving us a review, that would mean everything. And if you're not already subscribed, do that too. Okay, so you made the leap. Your first retreat, you were supported. It sounds like you were fully supported. Yes. And then tell us the difference for those listening. Tell us the difference between being fully supported and then when you branched out completely on your own and what you found between the two.
Yeah, that's an amazing question. So, in being fully supported, I had an event coordinator, I had a marketer, I had from A to Z so much support. All I had to do was show up and teach the classes and create the space for the retreat. And so I wasn't necessarily needing to bring in every single participant. I had a lot of marketing help versus now when I lead a retreat, I do everything from A to Z. So it's a lot more work. There's a lot more compensation to be made, but it took many, many years of, the hand holding for me to be able to do this on my own and to really understand what makes a successful and easeful retreat take place. And so I'm grateful for the transition that I had and to have been in a supportive retreat setting in Costa Rica at this retreat center that really became like family to me. All the staff and all the owners and all of that stuff, I still keep in touch with them. And I'm so grateful because that kind of helped catapult and launch me into the career that I have now of leading retreats and now bringing on my own facilitator and bringing on, just planning everything on my own. But I don't think I'd be able to know the importance and what makes a successful retreat had I not gone through the process of, observing it first and then cultivating it myself afterwards.
I think that's such a powerful model. I really love this, and I have several thoughts on it, but I just love this so much because as we talked about everybody who attends a retreat, not everybody, but a lot of people who attend a retreat and they're like, "Ooh, I want to do this." There is so much that happens behind the scenes and prior to the retreat that the guest has no idea.
Yeah.
And so to just leave there and then go start from scratch and host your own retreat is like, holy shit.
Yeah.
You better be prepared for, a shitstorm of all kinds of learning. We'll just call it that, right?
Yeah.
So I love that you did kind of it's a hybrid model almost where you're hosting a retreat, but really you're just the front line that's doing the day-to-day things, but there's so much of a team behind you.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's really doing all the back end stuff. And I think that's such an excellent way to start for those who are, especially those who are juggling multiple jobs or are trying to see, is this even what you want to do? Because here's the other thing. Let's say you host your first retreat, and I have seen this happen, and you walk away and go, hell no, that was not for me. It's just not. It didn't fill my soul. I felt very depleted and not the good kind of depleted, right? And so that can happen. And so at least in that format that you talked about, that hybrid model, you don't have this tons and tons of investment of things that you've purchased and lined up and websites and software and all that kind of stuff. You don't have any of that you have to worry about. You can just walk away and go, great, that wasn't for me. I'm glad I learned.
For sure.
Or like yourself, you could go, you know what? I know now, maybe after a couple of them, 3, 4, 5, whatever it is.
Yeah.
You're like, you know what? Now I've seen enough that I want to build out my own model. And you're right. It is so much more work, but there is obviously so much more profit.
Yes.
And so I just love that you went through that process that way because not a lot of people do.
Yeah. I feel like it's a way of really setting yourself up for success because you get a taste of what it's like. And then, you're building on it. You're learning what it is that needs to take place in order to lead a retreat. And it is a lot. Like when I lead my international retreats, I plan 10 months to a year in advance. If I'm doing something locally in the United States for like 3, 4, 5 days, that takes me 6 months in advance. If I'm leading a 1-day retreat somewhere local, I live in Los Angeles, so somewhere around here, that takes me still about 6 weeks, right? And so there's just a lot of back end planning that takes place. And I think it's important for teachers to give themselves enough time for that, because one of the biggest things that not obstacles, but I think one of the biggest challenges and most difficult things is the signups and the participation and the marketing and being able to, you can put on this beautiful retreat, but if you don't have the participants, then the retreat can't take place. So giving yourself ample time to be able to plan a retreat is really important.
Yes, I love it. I just love this model so much because, as you know, once you own it completely, it is completely up to you to fill it, which absolutely can happen with the right marketing model. But I just love that so much. Yeah. Do you feel comfortable sharing the folks that you worked with in Costa Rica with the audience in case anybody is wanting to try a hybrid model?
Yeah, I would love to. It's a beautiful resort at the top of a mountain in Montezuma, and the retreat center is called Anamaya. It's been around for 10 plus years. you feel so held and supported, both as a participant and as a teacher going there. So it's a great place to start as like a launching pad. I really recommend it. I love everyone there, but it's called Anamaya.
Awesome. Okay, I love it. Tell me real quick, and then I want you to tell me about your offerings in case anybody would love to join you. Tell me what obstacles you ran into when you made that transition from the hybrid model to hosting it yourself that you maybe learned.
Yeah, I mean, a lot. I was actually kind of reflecting back on this. A lot of learnings along the way. Liability forms and contracts is something that I didn't know was as significant and important. And I think always just crossing your T's and dotting your I's. I led a retreat in Bali multiple years ago, I think 5 years ago now. A volcano erupted 3 days before the retreat was supposed to start, and I had no contract in place with the retreat center. And so that was a really big learning. I think just the biggest thing is, contracts, liability forms, making sure that you have the insurance in place, really just protecting yourself, because you can do everything to plan a perfect retreat, but you never know. Small things may come up, and you just want to make sure that you are secure and safe and have great support around yourself and like a safety cushion. I think that was one of my biggest learnings.
I'm so glad you shared that. Yeah, the legalities of it, of the business operations is something that a lot of people, I still am shocked, especially when I see things on social media or I even just talk to people and it's really willy-nilly and there's not a lot of documents. It's almost like it's a hobby and not a business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that will be so painful for you if things go wrong. And so anyway, I love that. I love that you shared that. So thank you. Are you a retreat host looking to take your marketing skills to the next level? Whether you're just starting out or a seasoned pro, our Retreat Marketing Masterclass is here to help you master, and I mean master, the art of retreat marketing. In this dynamic class, you'll dive deep into both digital and traditional marketing techniques, tailored specifically for retreat hosts. Learn the secrets of social media strategies, content marketing, and even how to leverage AI to boost your outreach. But that's not all. Our masterclass offers continuous updates to keep you aligned with the ever-evolving market trends. Imagine transforming your retreats into sought-after, sold-out experiences. Ready to turn your vision into reality? Join our Retreat Marketing Masterclass today and watch your retreats flourish. Don't miss out on this opportunity to elevate your marketing game. Visit retreatmarketingtools.com to enroll now and start your journey towards becoming a marketing master. Now, please tell us about your offerings that you have coming up.
Yeah. So I'm a full-time private yoga instructor in Los Angeles. So I'm Los Angeles based. So I lead both in-person sessions, virtual sessions, and then I have two really exciting international retreats coming up. One is in Lagos, Portugal. It's from September 8th through the 15th. And then my second is in my all-time favorite place in the entire world, which is Nosara, Costa Rica. And that one is November 9th through the 15th. And it's a yoga and surf retreat. So a few spots left for both of them. If anyone's interested, happy to have you. Yeah, leading retreats is really meaningful and special to me. And I take it very seriously and personally of just holding a very intimate, safe space for people to be able to feel and experience and to just go through anything that someone is going through their life. So what I love also most about retreat settings is the people that come. So I met my best friend, Julie, in Anamaya 14 years ago. And yeah, it's just, you meet such wonderful, like-minded people. And I always find beautiful friendships that flourish from these retreats, whether you come solo or with a partner or friends, whatever it is. It's really special. Really, really special.
I agree. Oh my gosh, I agree so much. When people ask me, like, what's the main thing, the main takeaway from retreats, I'm like, connections. It literally is connections. It could be a connection back to yourself, but also it's a connection to people that they become lifelong friends. And I think sometimes though, when people hear that have never been on a retreat, they're like, meh, and they don't really, until you like are there and you experience it. And then you're like, oh my gosh, like you have a best friend from there. And I have some amazing relationships that I have met through
It's so
either
true.
hosting or attending. Yes. And it has been
Yeah.
amazing. So I'm so glad that you shared that. And your retreats sound phenomenal.
Thank
Those of
you.
you that listening, they will be linked in the show notes as well. So feel free to reach out to her through the links. Do you want to just shout out maybe your social or your website in case there's people who don't want to read the links?
Yes, absolutely. So my website is yoga by Rony, which is RONY.com. And then my Instagram handle is yoga _ by _ and then Rony, RONY.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your story and for sticking with your passion and your why and for providing space for people to do beautiful things. Thank you.
Thank you so much for having me, Shannon. It was a pleasure talking.
Thanks for listening to the Retreat Leaders Podcast. Learn more at www.theretreatranch.com. See you next time.